My name is Lily, and I want to tell you about my mother, not because she was good, not because I love her, but because I stayed silent for too long and I can't anymore. Everything you're about to hear is true. Every single word. I grew up in a big house, not just big enormous. A pool, a 3-car garage, a gardener every Thursday, a security guard at the gate who knew everyone by name. When my classmates found out where I lived, they looked at me like I was lucky. A rich family, a beautiful home, everything just right. I never told them what it was really like. My father Richard. Construction business. Contracts. Negotiations. He was always going somewhere, always being called away. When he was home, he locked himself in his office and spoke on the phone in a quiet voice behind a closed door. I almost never heard him speak directly to me. He brought me gifts, expensive, appropriate ones. One time he brought me a bicycle, patted me on the head awkwardly, like someone who wants to be a father but doesn't really know how. I smiled, said thank you. He nodded and went back to his phone. I understand that now. Back then I was just happy about the bike. My mother Diana, beautiful, perfectly put together, always dressed right, with the right makeup, the right smile for every occasion. She knew how to create an impression that was her main talent. At school events, teachers always singled her out. Such a caring mother. You look wonderful, guests would say. Diana, you have a beautiful home. Neighbors envied her life. And no one saw what I saw. The first time she hit me, I was 5. I broke a plate. By accident, I just reached for a glass and knocked the edge. A crack, shards, silence. And then her hand, sharp. Without warning, I fell off the stool and didn't understand what had just happened. Clean it up, she said calmly, and walked out. I cleaned it up. Back then, I didn't think of it as something abnormal. She was my mom. Moms get angry sometimes. I did something wrong, I deserved it. That's how a 5-year-old mind works. You don't know it can be different. You just think it's normal. I thought that for a very long time. When there were guests, my mom was different. She talked about me, my daughter, with the right tone. Christmas photos, school events she always attended, birthday presents. Everything looked right. But the moment we were alone, everything changed. She didn't yell. That was worse than yelling. She spoke quietly, coldly, with the precision of someone who isn't angry anymore, just knows exactly where to hit. You're disgusting. You can't do anything right. Look at yourself. Why are you even here? I believed every word. She was my mom. Moms tell the truth. I didn't tell anyone. Who would I tell? My father, who was always busy. My friends at school, who had normal moms. The teachers who saw Diana and saw a perfect mother. No, I kept it all inside and got used to the weight of it. Eventually, I stopped noticing it was even their daughter school. They called me quiet. Lily is a bit reserved, but smart. They didn't know that being reserved wasn't a personality. It's something you learn when, at home, you're not allowed to take up too much space. I remember one day when I was 7, I made her a birthday card. At school with paint, carefully. I wrote, "I love you, Mom," and drew the two of us holding hands. I brought it home and handed it to her. She took it, looked at it, put it on the table without saying anything, then left. I sat there for a long time, staring at that card. Then I took it to my room. Not because I wanted to keep it, I just didn't know where else to put it. I thought it wasn't pretty enough. I should have tried harder. I should have written something else. I should have. That card stayed in my drawer for years. I didn't throw it away, and I didn't take it out. It was just there like a reminder of something I could never explain. Around 9, I decided to try a different approach. Maybe, I thought, if I became perfect everything would change. I started waking up earlier to clean my room before she woke up. I did my homework without being reminded. I tried to be invisible, no noise, no traces, no taking up space. For a few weeks, it was quiet. I thought, this is it. It's working. If I'm perfect, she'll stop. Then one evening, I accidentally left a glass in the wrong place. Everything came back, and that's when I realized for the first time, clearly, that it wasn't about the glass. Not the plate. Not the card. Not what I did or didn't do. It was about the fact that I existed, but understanding something doesn't mean accepting it. I kept trying anyway. Because she was my mom. Because there had to be some way. At school, I had a friend Emma. One day I was about 8, she came over after school. Mom was home. I remember how carefully I watched every word, every move, smiling, answering correctly, trying to be invisible in my own house. My mom was charming with Emma, brought us cookies, asked about school, laughed at something Emma said. Later, when Emma left, she told me, "Your mom is so cool. You're lucky." I nodded, said, "Yeah, I guess." Then I went to my room and sat on the bed for a long time, thinking about what I had just seen. The mom Emma saw, I had seen her too, around other people, only around other people, and I thought, maybe I'm the problem? Maybe something is wrong with me if she's like that with others, but different with me? For years, that's exactly what I believed. When I was about 10, I once approached my dad in the evening. I asked him directly, "Dad, why doesn't Mom love me?" He stayed silent for a long time, looking out the window. The glass reflected his face, tired, closed off. Then he said, "She loves you in her own way," and walked into his office. Closed the door. I went to bed and stared at the ceiling for a long time, trying to understand what "in her own way" meant. What kind of love hurts like that? Maybe I just didn't understand something important about adults. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be. A few times after that, I caught my dad's when Mom left the room, leaving silence behind. In his eyes, there was something like guilt. Not regret for what was happening, something else. Like he knew something he couldn't say. Like he was holding it in. Now I understand what it was. Back then I just thought something was wrong with me. There was a woman in our house, Monica, the housekeeper. She cooked, cleaned, quiet, invisible, always somewhere in the background. She was the one who always left me the best piece at breakfast. Always. She noticed when I looked unwell, didn't ask questions. Just said casually, "You look good today." With her, I felt calmer than anywhere else in that house. Sometimes I stayed in the kitchen longer than I needed to. Just sat there, listening to her cook. She never sent me away. Sometimes she'd tell small, insignificant stories about neighbors, about the weather. Ordinary words, ordinary voice. I listened and thought, this is what it's supposed to sound like. A voice without threat. One day, when I was about 11, I came into the kitchen with a bruise on my arm. I thought she wouldn't notice. She did, looked at it, said nothing, just put a plate in front of me, the best piece, and turned back to the stove. I didn't understand then why it hurt so much. Not the bruise, her silence. Like someone knew everything and couldn't help. Now I understand. Back then I just thought she was a kind woman. I didn't know there was another name for it. When I turned 13, it got worse. Mom stopped holding back even in front of the staff. I learned every danger signal, the sound of her heels in the hallway, the pause before her first word, the way she held a glass. I learned to leave the room before she entered. Learned to be invisible, silent. Nothing. It didn't always help. One autumn day, Dad was on a business trip, the house almost empty. I was sitting in the living room with a book. Just sitting there, reading. I hadn't done anything wrong. Hadn't broken anything. I was simply in a place where she didn't want me to be. That was enough. Later, I lay on the floor for a long time, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the one question that had been haunting me since I was 7. What did I do? What does a child have to do to deserve that kind of hatred from her own mother? There was no answer, and I did the only thing I knew how to do. I endured. Because she was my mother. Because you don't choose your mother. Because there was nowhere to go. When I was 12, I truly wanted to leave for the first time. Not run away. I didn't know where to run. Just disappear. Become someone else, in another home, with another life. That's when I started reading a lot, obsessively, everything I could find. Books were a place my mother couldn't reach. In books, people's lives ended somehow, badly or well, but at least they ended. Something happened. Something changed. In my life, nothing changed. Every morning breakfast. Every morning Monica in the kitchen, the best piece. A quiet "how are you?" Every day school, where I was the quiet girl with good grades. Every evening waiting. Listening to footsteps. counting signals, being ready. I thought this was my whole life, that it would always be like this, until that day. That day I will remember forever. Dad left early in the morning. Monica was cleaning upstairs. The house had that special kind of silence that only exists when everything is calm. I was sitting in the living room with a book quietly on the edge of the couch, trying to take up as little space as possible. That's my habit. Learned. Mom walked in without a sound. I felt her before I saw her. That's what I learned over 13 years to sense danger before it appears in the doorway. From the way the air in the room changes. From the silence that suddenly becomes different. This time, the silence was very different. You didn't take out the trash. I'll do it now. I asked you this morning. I stood up. The correct response is to stand, not argue. Go and do it. That response worked 9 times out of 10. Today was the 10th. She grabbed my shoulder before I reached the door. I won't describe in detail what happened next. I'll only say one thing. That day, something inside me broke. Not from the pain I was used to pain. Something else. Like there had been glass inside me, holding together for a long time, too long, and it finally shattered. I covered my head with my hands. A reflex. Monica heard it from the stairs. I didn't know that at the time. I couldn't hear anything except my mother's voice. Then the door opened. Enough. Monica was standing in the doorway with the same quiet presence she always had. Then she stepped forward, stood between us. Mom looked at her with that particular expression people get when something steps outside the boundaries of what's acceptable. The help, daring, move. No, they collided. I didn't have time to react. Monica stepped back, her foot caught the edge of the rug. I saw her fall, saw her hand reach for the table and miss. The sound of her head hitting the edge of the fireplace. Short, dry. Monica fell, and didn't get up. I screamed for the first time in a long time, for real. Ran to her, shook her shoulders, called her name. She was breathing, but not responding. Eyes closed, face pale. Mom stood 2 steps away and watched. I don't remember exactly how I dialed 911. I remember the operator's voice was calm and somehow that helped. I gave the address, answered questions, didn't take my eyes off Monica. When the police arrived, I already knew what was about to happen. I saw it in the way Mom straightened her back a second before the front door opened. A confused homeowner, a slightly trembling voice. I was upstairs. I heard a noise, came down and saw this. The girl was standing over her. I don't know what happened. I looked at her. I couldn't say a word. Not because I had nothing to say. Because I suddenly understood words wouldn't change anything. Who would they believe? The homeowner or a girl with a story her mother had already shaped exactly how it needed to be? Monica was taken away with a traumatic brain injury. Critical condition. Dad came back that same evening. Sat in his dark office for a long time without turning on the light. Then came out with the face of a man who had made a decision. The investigation dragged on for weeks. Mom's version convincing, structured, detailed, fit neatly into the reports. A troubled minor. A conflict with staff. A caring mother, ashamed. I gave my statement. Told the truth. The investigator listened to both of us with the same expression. Dad asked for a meeting with a lawyer. He was going to testify against her. Mom found out before he could do anything. The third hearing. Her lawyer brought documents to court. Dad's documents. I sat there listening. Schemes, kickbacks, city contract money, accounts that didn't officially exist. Names of officials, amounts, dates. 28 years. Dad sat a few rows away, staring straight ahead. I looked at him and thought, why? All these years, why were you silent? And then I understood. He wasn't silent because he loved her. He was silent because she knew enough to destroy him. This wasn't a marriage. It was a system of leverage. He held her, she held him. A balance that lasted 28 years. Now she pressed the button. The courtroom changed in 15 minutes. Prosecutors started whispering. The judge called a recess. By evening, Dad's assets were frozen. By the next morning, a criminal case was opened. The house was sealed. Cars, accounts, the company, everything under investigation. Mom used it as a weapon. and discovered the weapon pointed both ways. Accomplice. Knew. Benefited for 28 years. We were given 24 hours to pack. That same day, I was called into a social worker's office, a woman in her 40s. Soft voice. Tired eyes. She spoke carefully, slowly. Richard is your biological father. That's true. But Diana. A pause. Diana was never your mother. I didn't understand at first. I asked her to repeat it. She explained. Diana didn't give birth to me. She had no biological rights over me. She was listed as my mother on the documents because Richard decided that, because it was convenient. My real mother was Monica, the same Monica who made breakfast every morning, who always left me the best piece, who said you look good today on the mornings when I felt the worst, who once saw a bruise on my arm and said nothing, just placed a plate in front of me, who stepped in for me that day, and was now lying in intensive care. I don't remember exactly what happened over the next few minutes. I remember standing up, walking out of the office, down the hallway, out into the street. I stood in the parking lot, the sky gray, wind blowing. Somewhere in the distance, a car honked. An ordinary day. People going about their lives. No one knew anything, and I had one thought. One. Very clear. 13 years. For 13 years. I was called a daughter by a woman who was not my mother. For 13 years. I endured the blows and thought, this is my mom. Moms have the right to be angry. If she does this, it means I deserve it. It means I'm not good enough. For 13 years, I tried to understand what I did wrong, but she was never my mother. Not once. She took someone else's child, a child she hated from the very beginning, and did whatever she wanted. Because she could. Because the child had nowhere to go. Because the child believed that this was her mother. I stood in that parking lot and felt something inside me shift. Not pain, I was used to pain. Not tears, there were none. Something else. Hot. Very quiet. Very focused. We stood by the sealed gates with our suitcases. I looked at her. At the woman I had called mom my whole life. At the hands I remembered too well. At the face that knew how to be perfect in front of people and something else when they were gone. A person who was nothing to me. Diana felt my gaze. Turned around. We looked at each other for a long time. Before, I was always the first to look away. It was a habit. Learned over 13 years. This time, I didn't. There was anger in her eyes, the kind that looks for its usual place to land. She was used to me looking down. I didn't. For the first time in my life, Diana picked up her suitcase first. The taxi was waiting at the gate. She walked toward it without looking back. I watched her go and didn't say a word. Words are unnecessary here. Words are for those who haven't decided yet. I already had. I didn't know what exactly. Didn't know when or how. But inside that hot, quiet, focused thing already knew. Dad tried to say something to me once after the court hearing. He came up. Stood beside me, was silent for a long time, then started. Lily, I didn't let him finish. Not now, I said quietly, and walked away. I'm not angry at him the way I am at her. He's a coward, but at least he told the truth in court. At least he did that. It's not enough, but it's something. With her it's different. There are no words for her. A few days passed after everything ended. I stood in a small rental apartment. Dad had rented it while everything was being sorted out. Small, no pool, no gardener, no security at the gate. I stood in the middle of an empty room and suddenly thought, I feel calm here, for the first time in 13 years calm. Not because it's beautiful or comfortable, because here, I don't have to listen for footsteps in the hallway. Don't have to count signals. Don't have to be ready. It's a strange feeling when you realize your normal wasn't normal. That what you got used to isn't how it's supposed to be. That other children didn't fall asleep with that weight in their chest. I just stood there for a long time and breathed. Then I went to the hospital, walked into the room, barely breathing, pulled out a chair, sat down beside her, took Monica's hand. Cold, tubes everywhere. The machines counted her breathing steady, mechanical, uninterrupted. I sat there thinking about how she always left me the best piece. About how she said you look good today exactly on the days I felt worst. About how only near her in that house did I feel calm, and I never understood why. She looked at me every day and stayed silent. Silent because she was afraid. Silent until one day she couldn't anymore. I didn't know, I said quietly. All these years I didn't know. I'm sorry. She didn't respond. The machines kept counting. Outside, there was an ordinary American city, loud, busy, unaware of what had happened here, and I held her hand and thought about one thing. What do you do with this kind of anger when you no longer have a home or a past where anything was true? I don't know yet, but I will find out.